Well, hello, you glorious mother truckers, you, and welcome to another video. Right then, sort of a breaking news kind of video, which I'm going to pull up as quick as I can get this edited and out. It appears that large parts of Spain and Portugal are suddenly without power. Not just a small amount, most of the place, no power whatsoever. Huge, massive power outage. No one knows what's caused it, although before we go any further, and on this video I will call Russian hacking or something like that, a cyber attack by Russians, because that'll be the usual excuse. But what this is actually demonstrating is exactly how fragile society in general is. Their power's gone out. They've got no cash because all the cash machines don't work anymore. The underground doesn't work. Transportation systems ground to a halt. Communication systems ground to a halt. Yeah, fridges and freezers in supermarkets will fail. Food will have to be thrown away. So there'll probably be food shortages for a couple of days while they sort the mess out. This is the world that we live in. Now, we here in the UK are currently being, we have a government obsessed with net zero. Now, if, for instance, Spain and Portugal still had a fair few operational coal power stations, good old school tech, then maybe they wouldn't have a problem. But everything is modern day. Everything is connected and interconnected and connected to the internet. So now a concerted cyber attack could quite easily cripple your power supplies. You see, in our rush to get rid of fossil fuels for some made up reason or other, actually it's because they want to make more money out of us and make us solely reliant on an unreliable power grid system. Because of this, it leaves systems so vulnerable. It also shows you that we can't live in a cashless society, because if this happened in reality, none of us would be able to pay for anything. But then again, even if we had a cash society, none of the tills would work. Oh, and they wouldn't be able to tell you how much stuff costs because we have to scan everything. You see, this as much as it's terrible for those people who live in Spain and Portugal, because it would be an absolute nightmare, it does show the glaring, blatantly obvious issue we have with the reliance that we have on the tech that we use. I mean, it's like now at school, if the power goes down, the kids can't learn because, well, you don't have teachers with brains anymore. You have teachers who use whiteboards, electronic boards, who use Google to find out what the answer is. And before you say, Mrs. G used to work as a caretaker at a school and I used to help her out, and many a time I was helping move some stuff, and you could hear teachers and see them on the screen discussing the next class lesson using Google as their source of information. So if that happens, the school collapses because they just can't do anything. You see, I'm all for modern technology. I mean, just right now I'm using a mobile phone to record this particular video, and I'll upload it and do all the editing on the same device. I think it's an absolute friggin' amazing thing. I genuinely do. And I think the leaps and bounds that the world has come in technology for the power, as a power of good, is brilliant. But it's also exceedingly vulnerable. And our over-reliance on this technology will come back to haunt us, because we're breeding a generation of people who, if it isn't electronic, they can't think. I mean, you've literally got multiple cities all over Spain and Portugal now collapsing because they got nothing. You know, and you can't even drive without because all the traffic lights are out. So if you want to do that, you can't use the subway because the subway don't work, the trains don't work. Everything is collapsing around them, and it's only been a few hours. As I said, I'm putting my money on a Russian-backed hacking attack on the power grid. But then the question will be, why have we allowed things to get to a stage where things as important as power is so vulnerable? See, back in the day with the old power stations that were connected only by telephone calls to tell them to turn it on, extra things on if there was a power surge, we're now so vulnerable. And it's a damning indication of where the world's heading, because if we keep going to net zero and we keep heading towards this utopia that doesn't exist, here in the UK, if we have nothing but solar power, which we want to block the sun from, and wind power, what happens if the sun doesn't come out? What happens if the wind doesn't blow? Where will the meek little units of power go? Because it won't go to you or I, will it? No. Too much reliance. And this is a warning shot. But again, we live in a world that no one gives a shit. No one will care. This video will get to 200 people. And that's it. Because it's daring to question the fabric of our society and how poor it is, how vulnerable we are, how completely and utterly and totally reliant we are on the devices that we use all the time. It's terrible. It's terrifying. Any case, enough of that. 2 videos coming up. One will be the last one that I last uploaded, and the other one will be the one that YouTube, with its weird algorithm, will give you. So you'll probably get a Doctor Who video recommended, because it's a safe bet that I'm not going to say anything too upsetting on that one. If you like what I'm saying, agree with what I'm saying, you just hit the subscribe button. I keep saying that. In reality, my subscribers are limited all the time. It is what it is, I guess. But I'm not going to stop. It's just the way it is. You can like, you can share, you can attempt to put a comment. Remember that if you send an insulting comment, it'll go straight through. But if you try and agree with me, you might have a bit of a problem. Any case, enough of that, I'm done. And before I die a death of boiling heat, because the temperature's got to 21 degrees. I mean, imagine the panic Thursday when it's going to hit 28. The media will have us all cooking to death, where the rest of us will just be going in a really nice day and sitting out in the sun. I'm done. So, until the next one.
They did some narrow at the bottom.